What's up everybody, this is Mosen here with another MTA for you, MTA 59 for the 25th of March 2019, bringing you the classic discussion on your daily fix of World of Warcraft classic news. And today's topic are going to be loot trading, the Alterac Valley changes, and a little update of what we have been doing in the last couple of days. Let's go through the updates really quick first. Well, as you can see, the mic's coming from here now, so I've been changing a lot of stuff. So first of all, I got a new monitor, so anything, you know, all the black bars on the stream on the side should be gone now. Finally managed to switch from 16 by 10 monitor to 19 by 9, 16 by 9, and a normal resolution. Everything's nice now. The problem is that thing, I thought you could just get a new monitor and set it up and everything would be fixed quite easily. Well, not so much. Okay, so the problem was, first of all, I tried this and nothing worked anymore, right? Nothing was working anymore. So the problem that I had was I switched the resolution up and the game wouldn't let me switch to the 1920 by 1080 resolution anymore. It just kept trying to get the old monitor in, and so I had to do a couple of switches there and get a CRU and yeah, all these kinds of things, and it just wouldn't fucking work. So that was a big problem for me. And so we tried to fix that. Now I got everything set up, then I had it fixed and it reset itself again. So that it was very unpleasant as well. Turns out you need to do a couple of things, and now I think I found the fix. So if you ever have the problem that it won't let you choose the correct resolution that you have, you might want to make a config in your WoW folder. There's a config in your WTF folder. Make a copy of that, delete the old, and put the resolution in there manually. And then also get CRU, that's a small software you can download, and you can assign forced resolutions to your other computer, monitors. The problem should only occur if you have two monitors with different resolutions or aspect ratios, which I have right now. Since the old one is right on the left side now and the new one is in the center. It's nice though. Right, so everything should be working now. The only thing is that apparently with HDMI cables, the 144 Hertz doesn't really work, and the FreeSync doesn't work. So I ordered this from Amazon now. That's the next step. So I'm trying to get that to work. But aside from that, that was it. So I couldn't stream yesterday because of all this shit. All my Streamlabs, like everything you see here, you know, there, here, all the camera and everything was bombed in OBS as well, in the recording software, because the resolution was switched and everything was destroyed. So I had to do everything this morning, and now we can finally record. The thing is, today I'm working, so there won't be a stream today, but in you know, as an exchange, there will be one tomorrow. And aside from that, more real life news, right? Or most of you probably already know if you're watching the streams. But this week we're all moving, so my roommates are moving out, and my girlfriend is actually moving in. I don't know how smart of a change and which that is, but we'll see. But yeah, so this is happening this week. So Wednesday on the raid day, I will be streaming at night. We will be done with moving the stuff of my first roommate or apartment mate, flatmate. It's not a roommate, certainly. And Tuesday, so tomorrow I will stream the whole day to get as much in as possible, and then on Thursday we are moving the girl stuff over and getting a lot of stuff over from another town, a couple of you know, washers and all that stuff, fridges, and that means Thursday I won't be here, and Friday we have a kind of a last party here at the flat, and on Saturday I work again. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Sunday I'm going to be back with the normal streaming schedule, and then we should have the 144 Hz, and everything should be running smoothly. That is the real life updates that we have so far this week, and so there's a lot of shit going on. You don't know how, you know, moving in Germany is a little bit, I don't know how it is in wherever you're from, but now here you have to like, you know, lock down the streets so nobody parks in your shit, in your spots, and you can carry up all your stuff and all your shit, and it's a struggle, right? So, but anyway, guild-wise, we have been making very good progress in AQ40, and we downed Princess Huron first try, and then we moved on to the twins, downed them as well. So now we're on the way to Satoon and Uro, which Uro shouldn't be a problem, and Satoon, only the pull is really the big problem. So we'll do that as well. So we've been making really good progress. At the moment we're actually recruiting every class except for Druid and Hunter. So if you're any of these classes, contact us in game. We're in Northdale still. We desperately need Fury Warriors still, so it's a chance to shine. I know there's a lot of Fury Warriors out there. And we would also accept a Feral Druid, preferably tank, just get in contact. Okay, so since it's not the newest of news anymore, I know that already, and I know a lot of people have made a video about it, we're gonna keep this short, okay? So the loot trading in Classic has been changed, and Blizzard has actually backpedaled from allowing loot trading everywhere, especially in 5-man dungeons, and they're going to limit it to only raids. So they recognize the potential of abuse this has. Basically, you just go into a 5-man dungeon with all your friends, and if you have one puck, that guy is basically screwed, right? Because you know, all of you can just roll on the item and trade it over to the person you wanted to have, and if you're a puck, you would be absolutely screwed. And a lot of shady stuff could be going on in 5-man dungeons, right? If it's tradable. So let's say I'm taking my 3 friends to go and get the Baron Cape, and we have one puck and he's also after the Baron Cape. We kill it, and the healer and the tank and my other DPS friend, they all roll need on it just to increase my chances of getting the loot. And has been a big problem, I think in Wrath is where it started, not quite sure, maybe Kata. Yeah, so they could just, you know, I'm just basically just increasing my chances to and abusing the system, and they could then trade it over to me. And of course it doesn't make sense. So Blizzard recognized the outcry that had in the community, which is awesome. So KVax wrote a big post here. You've probably seen it. Yeah. So, however, though, they are going to keep it in raids, and which is actually a cool idea, because the only time where this really is a big problem is when you really, I mean, Blizzard claims they wanted this in to avoid accidental loot, you know, accidentally wrong loot distribution, which is of course not the case. It's just going to be abused way more than it actually profits, right? So the few cases where you would actually misplace loot onto somebody are so few in comparison to just plain abuse of the system that it wouldn't make sense. However, in a raid situation, you can really not do anything anymore, and I think there it makes sense to be able to trade it over. Of course, you will have to, as a guild now, police this shit so that people aren't trading around the loot that you had intended for them. But I think if you find out that somebody's just trading the loot around and making stupid shit, you might as well just get rid of them, right? So that's all within the guild's control. That's good. Makes guilds stronger. And the next point that I have is basically that maybe one downside, if you're pugging raids a lot, this could be a problem as well, because people will, you know, also the same problem as in 5-man dungeons, will just go ahead and basically, you know, roll for their friends, and then once they got it, trade it over to the person they wanted to have. Which makes pugs less desirable, I'd say. More room for abuse there, which makes guilds stronger, which is nice. But it could also, and yeah, well, get the use of +1 more widespread in the puck community. That means when you once you have gotten an item, you are then locked for a certain amount of time or a certain other class of items. So the +1 rate puck rates should be really making sense then. But still, you would still have to see. I mean, people could use their +1 if you're going in with your friends and you don't really want any item, right? You could just use your +1 and trade it over to your friend. So the more friends you bring, the bigger chances you have. So there's still very much room for abuse for raid puckers, which leads then to the conclusion: don't puck raids. It doesn't make sense even in Classic now with this change, because let's say, you know, I'm going into a raid and I bring 5 of my friends. I used my +1, I got my item, but they are just there to snatch gear for me, and they always constantly roll on items to use up their +1 and then give it over to me, which could lead to, I don't know, you know, Choker of the Fire Lord. You know, hey, I still got my one friend still has his +1 unused, just gonna roll on it, gets it, and then he trades it to me, the healer, and I get the Choker of the Fire Lord. A lot of room for abuse there for raids still, but there you go. This is the news regarding the loot trading in Classic. Let me know what you think. I'm fine with it. I think we can all live with this, and you know, it's have to get used to that one change in the raid environment, but there you go. I think it's an alright change. We can all live with it, since it only affects raid pugs, which in my opinion shouldn't be pugged anyway, or you should be careful. If you're pugging raids, then you're certainly playing the game in a way that, well, you can be abused, and it certainly makes guilds stronger, and people will appreciate more being in a guild that isn't shady with loot. But let me know what you think. We have more news though, and this week there were a lot of news this week. So we got the Alterac Valley, news as well. Okay, so Blizzard was debating whether or not to implement the newer or the older version of Alterac Valley. For those of you that don't know, I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible, right? Because I don't want to have another 30-minute video today. We have so many things for the other videos coming up in the next days, but I just want to get these two things here covered real quick, because it's like kind of a wave of blue posts. Again, coming in from KVAX, community manager on the US forums, and they basically decided that they are going to implement the later version of AV. Now, for those of you that don't know, AV had 1,000 patches probably. And from the original version that it in which it was introduced into the game, to the one that ended up at 1.12, there were a lot of changes. And probably the biggest changes were a nerf to NPC health, and a couple of NPCs were the number of NPCs was reduced. So if you want to go into this thread right here, the problem is now, where do you know what is the perfect state? And you know, where's the sweet spot of this BG now? And the answer, there's no real definitive answer to this, because for some the very hardcore 1.5, I believe it is, version is the best, where that's the one you've been playing on private realms. So if you're wondering, that's not going to be the version that we're gonna get. We're gonna get a little more streamlined version, okay? So they write here, in Alterac Valley, that puts us before the introduction of reinforcements. So there's not going to be any Call of Duty or Battlefield reinforcement stuff. That is good. But it puts us before the removal of all of the commanders and lieutenants, so they're all still there. So the basic thing is still there. The only win condition are the killing of Draktar and Frostwolf and Vandar and Tumbala, all good. Gives us several early improvements to the BG that we are glad to have in place. Early on in AV, there were too many NPCs and they were too hard to kill. By 1.12, many had been removed and NPC health was brought down to a reasonable level. Let's stop here real quick. Too many NPCs, for sure. I mean, I'm always a defender of having the 1.5 version we know from the Private Realms that is really tough to beat. Like if you remember the random BGs, it's either a fat turtle, right? Because there's so many NPCs, it's hard to break through unless you go in with a group, which you can only really do with trying to snipe each other and you know, queuing at the same time, etc. So it's not really, you know, it's hard. It's supposed to be a random battleground for no pre-mates, basically. So I always thought it was really tough for, and not everybody has played this stuff here for 4 more years on Private Realms already, right? So the NPCs are very tough and they are hard to kill, and there are numerous of them, and there are some certain choke points where it's just, they hit so hard and it's hard to kill them, especially when you're not in there with fat raid gear. So I can see that, why that's happening. So by 1.12 many had been removed and health down to a reasonable level. Again, they also have a lot of health, okay, so a lot of health, even the normal soldiers that are patrolling there. So it's maybe a good change. Turning armor scraps is an encouraged supportive activity by this point, which is still true. You can still all turn in all of the stuff. And many capture points have been moved away from their initial placements to gain better balance across the map. Character Blood Rager was removed, and so here it kind of turns, right? So can you still summon the cavalry, or the infantry, or even the airstrike, right? Or the big giant? I think that's essential for AV. I don't think they should take that away. But since you can still turn in the armor scraps, it seems like you can. But that would really suck if they removed the cavalry and infantry charges and all that kind of stuff. That would really take away from the battleground. And I strongly suggest that they don't do that. But not that they're gonna listen to me anyway. But you know, so moving of graveyards and capture points a little bit from their initial placements to gain better balance across the map. I'm fine with that. I can understand that. It's sometimes there are certain choke points that are just so destined for turtles, right? That this battleground is just gonna drag on for hours and potentially days. Now, I understand that some people like the really long battlegrounds that go on for hours and days. I do too. But, you know, it's a little bit more streamlining. Can't really hurt this battleground. Let's be honest. And there's different opinions on this. If it was me, keep it 1.5. They decided to go with 1.12. But again, placing stuff somewhere else is okay. Korek the Blood Rager was removed though, and killing opposing players no longer drops items like dwarf spines, orc teeth, you know, the stuff that you turn in from the players. So this, I think this kind of takes away from the battleground, to be honest. And Korek the Blood Rager not being in anymore, I don't know how you would get the Ice Barbed Spear item anymore. Maybe you guys know, but this was always part of getting the you know, Ice Barbed Spear or the AV Crossbow quest. So that would be out of the game unless they implemented or it was changed to a different condition for the quest. I don't know that. So very interesting. You can see there's a couple of things that they say here that would, if you think about it a little bit more, would have a big impact. We don't know stuff, right? We don't know what is going to be. So turning in armor scraps is still in, but what about the summoning infantry and cavalry, right? Can you still tame the rams and get the hides to summon the cool epic cavalry charges? How far are the mob health going to be down? Is it just going to be a phase roll through? That would suck, certainly. You know, you want a really epic battleground there. So that's up for debate. How are the placements going to be better? And why can't we just have the items in if you loot players? I don't understand. Why would you? What does it have to do? I think they're just going with versions. So now we would have to find out in the 1.12 version if you can still get the cavalry charges. So I just opened the couple of patch changes right here. Okay, so 1.8, for example, brought in the changes they're mainly talking about. The major changes are basically that it doesn't say anything or any changes to the summoning of cavalry charges, which is a good thing, I think. But it seems we'll have you know, nulls and all that kind of stuff in the battleground for some reason. Some stuff has been changed, some locations, which is all fine. The NPC health has actually been reduced by 15 to 30%, and a couple more, the respawn time for tower guards, for example, was increased. Which all of these, if you're reading through all of these changes here, that's actually a streamlined version that we can, I think, all live with, because it just takes away a little bit of the very annoying stuff. And you also gain extra bonus honor if you have towers defended or not destroyed at the end of the game, and if you have captains alive. So that actually encourages playing the battleground and defending your stuff rather than just zerging through. So that's still, everything seems to be in place still, which is nice. So we can only see what will become of it. If you go to the, well, again, for me at the moment, I would still say stick with the older version. I can see this is a more streamlined one, especially also for rankers. And also from a normal player perspective, that every time Alterac Valley, there was an Alterac Valley weekend, this has always been somewhat of a letdown, right? So it's hard to say which one's the better one. They want to go with the 1.12, which is a little bit, just in general, you can say it's a little bit more streamlined, and maybe it's the better way to go. We don't know that yet, but it's also a little bit of preference. However, if we go into the reactions of players, you can actually see that many people are really disappointed, and this is obviously one of the bigger ones. Now, here's one interesting thing. It says in 1.11, most of the NPC guard units have been removed. Creatures that remain in Alterac Valley have had their hit points reduced. So most of the NPC guards are removed. That would, again, right, so what Blizzard says and what it actually is, we don't know that yet, and that leaves a lot of room for speculation, which I don't really think is a good thing. So, well, it could be anything, and that's always a dangerous place to be in. To be honest, if there's not many NPC guards left, I would say this is a very bad change. And, all leaving the community kind of in the air here at the moment and not making a definitive statement of what it is exactly going to be. A couple of NPCs out with 15% less health, not a big deal, right? Makes it more streamlined. But most NPC guards completely gone, I don't think it's a smart idea, right? It's supposed to be a really epic battleground, so I don't know. You can really see this in the comments here, right? People are rather disappointed, and a couple of people are like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, well, Blizzard has decided. But then it quickly changes down here into, more of a disappointing vibe, right? So most people are more fans of the old version because they want the actual epic feel, and I would definitely agree with that. The hard truth is, I don't know, I'm not very sure. I don't see Blizzard backpedaling on this and making a change after looking and hearing the community. But there's a lot of disappointment coming in from the community. But I'm not so sure if they're gonna change their mind on this one, to be quite honest. If they read through it, they can definitely see that most people want the 1.5 version, the original iconic one. But Blizzard is also right. It was all in classic, so it was patched so many times. It's hard to pick a side. I can just see that they're going to stick with a streamlined version here because the potential for turtling and having 8-hour BGs, I think for Blizzard it's hard to get away from that, and they're very scared of having retail players coming into this, BFA players coming into this, and then being stuck in an 8-hour game. They have to AFK out. And I think they're very scared of that reaction, because this was probably one of the, that's very vanilla, right? And I think they might be a little bit scared of that, and that's the reason why they want to have the they want to have the streamlined version. So what this address guy says, people want the original stuff, so please stop with the whole "it's too hard" mantra. AV is optional to do. It's a battleground, it's a slaughter, and it's supposed to be hard and long, which is kind of true, right? But yeah, you have very mixed opinions. Some people agree. Make of this what you like. You can read through the thread again. You know, it's better for the honor, it's more streamlined, as this guy here says, as rankers would probably agree if the BG is a little bit more streamlined. You know, an AV weekend could actually feel better in the long run, because it's more of a thing that could actually end after an hour or two and doesn't always drag on for 8 hours. So, man, it's a tough one, but it really comes down to all the changes that are going to be in there. You know, is it maybe too streamlined, and is there no NPC left, and can you just nuke the fuck out of Drektar really quick without a tank? Because that would already take away from the whole fun. I mean, geez, I don't even know myself which one I would like better. In the worst case, I'd say, fuck, 1.5. The next question is, what other changes are they going to make if they are going in with these changes in the 1.12 version. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Today I'm going to end the MTA for now. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. Maybe, well, you can't see it right now, but we got ourselves a Wrath of Scenarios, a lot of rings. Man, it's awesome. The progress is a lot of fun to raid at the moment. It's cool. Stay tuned for a lot more content, but just keep in mind that this week I'm going to be moving stuff in and out. So there's just no time. I need to do some stuff for the company as well. And so don't expect very much this week until Sunday. And so now you have an update why there's not a lot of videos coming out this week. Because we're just moving stuff. It's so much to do, right? The RL needs to be dealt with. So thank you very much for watching MTA 59 for this week. And I'm gonna try and bring out another one this week. And a couple, I'm planning to release 2 more this week. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.